Do you avoid hard conversations? Do you avoid or put off or postpone any situation or any communication that you think is going to be difficult? A lot of us do. I hate to admit it, but when I was married, I put off having difficult conversations for about 15, 20 years. Way too long, way too long. And I regret that I did that, because I think that my life and my children's lives would definitely have been, would have had different experiences had I been brave enough to have those conversations at the time they needed to be had, and made different decisions and choices for me and for my kids. A story for another day. But my question is, have you ever put off a conversation and later come to regret that you had put it off? I think pretty much all of us have it sometime in our life. If you spend a couple minutes reflecting on that, I bet you can come up with one. We're going to, for an action item today, share that in the comments below so we can learn from one another, and mostly so we can see that that's a pretty human being type of behavior, especially when we are afraid of the outcome. We tend to procrastinate. We tend to put it off. We tend to just not ever do it. And then the universe wants us to face up to the challenges that we're having. So something happens that puts us over the edge and tells us, okay, I need to deal with this conversation and have this conversation right now. I cannot put it off any longer. I've had some of those, and some of those ended up in absolute positive meltdown screaming matches, which I don't like to even admit, but we all have those moments, right? We all have moments where we break and something has to give, and it's going to be the conversation, because it's not ever going to be us. We're always going to take care of ourselves. Thankfully, our subconscious helps us to do that. Unthankfully, sometimes it helps us just stay in the status quo and keep it the same for far, far too long. So difficult conversations can land in any area and aspect of our life. I've had to have difficult conversations at work and in my career. I've had to have difficult conversations with customers. One of my most difficult long-term conversations that I put off having for a year was that I needed to let my biggest customer go. They were actually negatively impacting more than just me and my business, my employees and the people that I'm there to serve and help and protect. Yeah, my customers are important, but if they're behaving in ways that are bad for the people in my organization, they gotta go. If they're behaving in ways that are negatively impacting me, they gotta go. Because you know what? In 3 months, we replaced all of the volume, and they were a really big part of our business, which is why I put off letting them go. Same is true in my personal relationships. There have been relationships I've hung on to for far too long that were bad for me, didn't make me feel good. There are businesses I held on to for so long, jobs I held on to for too long, because of the fear of change and moving forward and having those difficult conversations. Had I had those difficult conversations or hard conversations, I might have had a totally different career path and trajectory. I might have had that conversation and things might have gone the way I wanted them to, and I would have gone down a totally different road. We never know, right? That's the thing. We never know what's going to happen. We just do the best we can with what we've got right now. We're also going to talk about, we're going to talk about this a little more, but we're also going to talk about the A in our soap framework today. I forget to show my cute little bars of soap that I made during the pandemic to demonstrate things. Yesterday, we came up using the 10-3-1 tool with at least 3 best possible ways to start filling the gap between where we are and where we want to be. I picked listening. So I wrote down the usual suspects, and I've already come to the point, I've done this often enough that I created a grid. I think I'll do a little workshop on it that talks about every solution we have usually falls into one of 3 categories: do it yourself, done for you, or done with you. And so once you realize that, it makes this process even faster. But the tool I decided we'd use today is the Eisenhower matrix. I don't know if you're familiar with this or not. If you've been in business or in even life, I think they probably teach these in grade school now. It's really amazing. The things that I didn't learn until college, like graphs and histograms and all kinds of things, they're teaching the kids in grade school now. I don't know, it makes my degree feel a little bit less valuable than it was. It was valuable at the time. Eisenhower matrix takes our options and we plot them on this matrix based on where they land with respect to significance and important. And why this is such a powerful tool for this communication especially, is it has us dealing with those hard conversations. If I were to do this with hard conversations instead of listening, is it urgent and important? Urgent and important would be in this grid. If the answer is yes, you do it now. You don't put it off. You do it. You have that conversation today. You don't put it off anymore. If you've got someone in your life that is negatively impacting you and has been for a while, and you just decide what's a long time or a while. I think if it's a day they treat you bad, okay, maybe you talk to them about it and give them a pass. But if it's more than one day, no, you have to have that conversation. Everybody deserves to be treated well. If it is important but not urgent and significant, then we plan it. We schedule it and we plan it. If the item is not urgent and not significant, that's in this bottom. It's really hard for me to do this backwards quadrant. So we delegate that. It's significant. We want to do it. It needs to be done, but it doesn't have to be done by us. Then we would delegate that. Say you've got an employee that needs feedback and they're not your direct report, but you've noticed the behavior and you notice that their supervisor isn't giving them feedback. You can delegate that by talking to the supervisor and saying, hey, you need to let this person know that. Or your friend is complaining to you about their significant other and they need to have a conversation, but they're telling you all the time and they're not telling that person. You cannot do anything about that for them. They have to tell the person that's involved in the situation that it's their responsibility to speak up and make their feelings known. And finally, not significant or important, guess what? Delete it. Just don't do it. If the conversation, the hard conversation you think you need to have isn't really important to you or significant, just don't even bother, right? Sometimes people will say something to us that hurts our feelings. And then we just realize that just consider the source. It's them that's hurting. Anything people do to hurt us is really them and about them. It's not about us. So playing the victim doesn't work out very well for very many people, in my estimation. All right, Eisenhower matrix. If you'd like a better explanation of that, if you would like a picture of that, hit me up and the comments just say Eisenhower or matrix, and I will send that to you because I don't always explain things the best I possibly can. All right, so that is our SOAP, and we are going to use that matrix to break down our 3 top items. And if any of them, this is super easy, if any of them land in the urgent or significant and urgent, important and significant to me are the same thing. So if it's important and urgent, that's your action item. That's the thing you're going to do. Is it important to hire a coach for helping me with my listening? Is it urgent? Probably not. So that's going to go into one of the other quadrants. But is it important and urgent that I have a difficult situation that I've been putting off? Yes, that's going to go into I'm doing that action today. All right. Difficult conversations. I've taken whole courses and I didn't have a coach. I didn't hire the coaches, but there's a great book out there. And of course, I cannot remember the name of it, but it's all about having difficult situations. If you Google difficult situations, I guarantee it will come up as the #1 bestseller and you can find the title. If you want me to find the title, I would encourage you to be a self-starter, but I can look it up and put it in the comments below sometime today. I don't know when it's going to be. I've got a really busy day, but sometime today. So we know what we're going to do. We know we're going to, I didn't share this. Here's what we're going to do today. We are going to think about, are there difficult situations in my life right now that I'm putting off? And and I'm going to think about it for my life. You're going to think about it for your life. And if there is, we're going to ask ourselves, does it fall into the urgent and important categories? If it's important to you and significant, but it isn't urgent, then plan to have the conversation in the next week. I mean, set yourself a deadline and say, okay, by next Saturday, not this Saturday, I'm going to give myself a whole week and a half. I will schedule and prepare and have this difficult conversation. That's the most important thing, is don't just go into it when you're emotionally frazzled or super upset about something. I know with the ex, I would just be like, okay, stop, just stop. And it didn't always work. Sometimes it worked. Other times it escalated. So you never know. But schedule it the next week. If it's urgent and important, make time to do it today. no matter how hard it seems like it's going to be, I guarantee it's not going to kill you. And you're going to feel so much better when you actually just broach the subject. And again, broach the subject in good communication ways. Don't blame the other person for the situation, because chances are it is not 100% their fault. I know, super hard to admit, right? Sometimes we're wrong, or we're doing something that the other person is taking in a different way than we intended. And that is what's causing the difficult situation in the first place. But have that conversation today if it's urgent and important. Otherwise, schedule it. And then come back and post under this video how it went. Or just say done, that you had it and you're still there, obviously, because you wrote done, and any lesson that you learned from it. Usually when I get up the gumption to have these conversations, it always goes better than I thought it would in my head, because we tend to doom and gloom things in our imagination. I don't know why, human nature. When if we practiced and pre-scripted in our mind a great outcome, the outcome we want, we'll get that a lot more often. Topic for another day. All right, if I can help you anyway, ask. Otherwise, have an amazing day, and I will, of course, be with you tomorrow.